Hi, I'm Huey Poplock, and I'm coming to you directly from my lanai in Bradenton, Florida. This week we got a question on Chromebooks from Edith. And Edith said, I've spent hours scouring the internet and trying the many different ways to get a My Drive file folder moved, copied, zipped, so that I can have a backup saved on my Chromebook's internal SD card and external USB C memory stick. I have managed one time to zip one file and get it saved on my Chromebook on the internal SD card and on the USB C memory stick. I hope you can give me some help. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. Just to make sure that I understood what the problem was, I emailed her back, and I think I understand her issue. And I said to her, you have several files on your Chromebook that are located in My Drive, in the My Drive area, and you wish to back them up or copy them to a folder on an SD card or an external driver stick. Is that correct? And she said, yeah, that's exactly what you wanted. And I said, do you want them on your Google Drive, the cloud, so that they are available from any computer at any time? She said, yeah, that too. So I endeavored to try to figure out what her problem was. And you know what? I had a similar problem. And I'll tell you how I attacked it, and I'm going to tell you how I got it to also work. First, what we want to do is we want to open up the Files app. We get to it from here, and we click here. And let's move me out of the way here a little bit. Okay, so this is our files structure. What you'll see is recent audio, images, videos, photos, and then on My Files, which means on my Chromebook, you'll see downloads and play files. Then you have your Google Drive with a little arrow here, and if I click that, it opens up and shows you the Google Drive, which is made up of My Drive and computers and so on. And then I have an SD card with a few folders on it. And I have a USB drive. Now it's not a USB-C, it is a USB 3. It is a USB drive, but it's not a C, but it shouldn't make any difference in what the problem she was having and the problem I had. So I am thinking, and I may be wrong, Edith, you have your files locally on your Chromebook. And that would be under My Files. And under My Files, you'll have downloads and play files. And downloads will be anything that you've downloaded. And let's double click that, and you'll see that I've got a bunch of screenshots and a few files, PDFs and so on, that I opened up through my emails and so on and saved it. Now it's relatively clear because I recently did a power wash, and when you do a power wash, anything local on your drive is gone. And so all of everything that I had in my downloads folder was gone, except before I did the power wash, I saved it to a folder, and that's what I believe that Edith is trying to do. Now I may be wrong, and we'll attack it in a couple of different ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get all of these files to her SD card and to a USB stick. The SD card is inserted in an SD slot on this Chromebook. Not all Chromebooks have SD card slots, but if you do, it gives you extra storage. In this case, I have a 128 gigabyte mini SD card in my slot. And let's take a look at what I've got on it. I've got a few folders, one called Old Screenshots, Views and Reviews, and one called Folder 1. Let's create a new folder, and we're going to call it Edith. And I'm going to say a new folder, and we're going to call it Edith. And I now have a folder there. Now let's say I wanted to call it something else. There's not really a way to do it easily like you would expect from a PC where you just right mouse click on it. And in most cases, you don't use a mouse, you use your hand, you use the touchpad, or you use the screen. So the best way to do it is when it's highlighted, just hold the control key down and hit enter. As soon as you do that, it puts it in edited form. So I am going to change this to Edith's files, just to show you how it can be done. Now, when I was doing this for the first time this morning, it wouldn't let me do it. I would try to do this, and it didn't give me an error message. It just didn't change anything. And I had some other similar problems, and some of the things that I'm going to show you just didn't work. It came up with a message saying that it couldn't complete the task. I don't remember the exact words, and I should have. And I caution everybody to always do this, and I didn't do it. And that's do a screen capture of the error message, or write it down. And I didn't do either of those. I apologize. But either way, it didn't work. And then when I tried to copy things to this SD card, one time I got a couple of files, and then I got an error message saying that it couldn't be done. And I kept doing that and running into that. So what I finally did was, with the SD card, I actually clicked it, and you see where it says format device? I'm not going to do it, but I got to this point, and I wasn't sure, okay, if I format it, everything's going to go away. So I copied everything from the SD card to my USB stick. I was able to do that. And so I got everything over there, and then I used the FAT32, and I told it to erase and format, and I started out with a clean SD card. And that would be my suggestion to Edith, is to back up that card to her USB stick. That she should be able to do. I'm hoping she can. And then reformat her SD card with it, and then she can put back anything she wanted on it, and then she can put on new things. But once I did that, everything seemed to work the way I expected it to work. And let's see if it does. We're going to try it now. So we're going to go to my Downloads folder, and we're going to highlight. Now there's several ways you can highlight. You can click on one, and then holding the control key down, you can click on something else, and it's now checked off too. But if you go to the first one, click it and highlight it, and then come down to the bottom one, holding the Shift key, and this also works on PCs too, and click it, it now gets everything in between as well. So we've got everything that's in our download folder physically on our Chromebook, ready to copy over to the SD card. And what I'm going to do is click on the SD card, the little arrow, so I can see where Edith's files are. And I am going to grab all of these, and I'm going to drag it over to Edith's files. Now what happened was, now it clicked into Edith's files, and you can see them one by one. They are populating that folder. And if I move my picture out of the way here, you'll see down here it's telling me now, it tells you how many it's doing and how complete it is. When it's done, it says complete, and then that little box goes away. So let's go back to my downloads, and you'll notice those files are still there. We can tell where we are by my files and downloads up here. And they're all still there. Because I'm going from one drive to another, it doesn't move them, it copies them. What is on the same, if I created a folder on the Chromebook under the downloads, and if I created a folder under there and then tried to drag them into that, it would actually move them. This also is true on your PC, that when you drag something from one folder to another folder on the same drive, the default is moving. If you drag them from one drive to another drive, the default is copy. All right, so that's one way, Edith, you can do that. The other way is, now we have the USB stick. So now what we're going to do is, you can see that I've got a couple of folders there. And I am now going to I can go back to the SD card, or I can come back up to my downloads folder. The reason I'm going to, well, we'll do both. Let's first come up here, new folder, from Chromebook. So we're going to take it directly from the Chromebook, so we'll open that folder. So that's where it is. And we can see here that it's down here at the bottom. And now I'm going to come back up to the downloads, and we're going to, again, grab all of those files. I'm going to go to the bottom and hold the Shift key down. It's highlighted all of them. I'm just going to drag it down into From CB. You can see down here it's copying them, and it's now complete. It's copied 17 files. Now the next thing what we want to do is let's go ahead and create another folder, new folder. We'll call this From the SD card. And we can see that it's empty. We'll come back out of it, okay? We're going to come back up. Let's go to the SD card and find Edith's files. Now, I can do a couple of things. Let's do this first. I'm going to go to the top, just like we did before. Hold the Shift down here. Now we got them all. Now I'm going to copy these from the SD card and put it here. And you can see that it's done. And so if we look in from the SD card, they're all there. If we look at the CB from Chromebook, and they're all there as well. Now the other thing that we might try to do, we're going to come back up here to the SD card, and we have a folder called Edith's Files. So let's just look at the SD card, and we see that there's Edith's Files here. We're going to grab that whole folder, and we're going to grab it, and we're going to put it over the card. You'll see copying Edith's Files, and it's done, and we've got Edith's Files now on that drive. So what we've done so far is we were able to copy the files from the Chromebook to the SD card, internal SD card that we have in the Chromebook. And we were able to complete that. We also copied them from the Chromebook to the external USB drive or stick, and we copied them from the SD card to the USB stick. So we were able to do both of those. When I was discussing this with Ron, he thought that maybe her files that she was talking about moving were on her Google Drive. And so I wanted to see if we could make that work as well. So let's go to Google Drive and to My Drive, and let's take a folder. Let's go to Screenshots. And we've got some screenshots here with a folder in it, actually. And let's say we want to make a copy of this and put it down on both the SD card and on the USB drive. I highlighted them. Now I'm going to drag them to Edith's Files on the SD card. It's copying them. It says about 1 minute remaining. It's copied 6 items, and it's now complete. So we've now managed, just by clicking and dragging, to go from the Google Drive out in the cloud and drag them onto the SD card in the Chromebook. Now the next thing we want to try to do is see if we do that same thing to the external drive. So we're going to come back up here, Screenshots folder. We're going to highlight all of them. We're going to come down to the SD card, or the USB drive down here. And this time we're going to also put them there into the Edith's Files there. It's now copying all 6, and it did it and it's done. So if we look at Edith's Files here, all of those are here, as well as the ones that we initially copied, as well as on her SD card. So she's got copies of both what she got off of her Chromebook and from Google Drive. Now what we want to do is take Edith's files from either the SD card or the USB drive. Let's do it from the SD card because that's internal. We may not always have the USB stick plugged in. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come back up to my drive on Google Drive. And I'm going to take Edith's files. Now drag this over to my drive. Drop it on my drive. And it's saying copying the files to my drive, and it's now done. So it's now out in the cloud. And if we look up here, we should see Edith's files, and there they are. And they're now on the cloud on the My Drive portion of the Google Drive account. So we've gone both ways. We've been able to get it from Google Drive to the SD card to the USB drive, and then we can take it from any of the three, the Chromebook, the USB drive, or the SD card, and copy them out to the cloud, and it should work. Now, the one remaining thing that we haven't done is how to zip and then take them as a group. We took a whole folder, but let's say we only want some files from within a folder, or if there's a lot of files, we'd like to zip it up and make it a little bit more compact. So we're going to do that next. The next thing that we want to do would be to zip up a whole group of files. Instead of putting it as a folder and moving a whole folder, make a zip file out of it. And what that does, it not only puts it in one package, but it does compress some files to give it less space, storage space. So let's take a folder. Let's minimize the Google Drive so you only see the name Google Drive, because what we want to do is we want to do it locally from the downloads on the Chromebook. We're going to take everything that's in the download folder on the Chromebook and highlight it all. I am going to, let's see, move this back down here. And I'm going to zip the selection. You can see it archiving down here at the bottom. And it has now archived all of those files into a zip. And if we move towards the top, we see archive.zip. We can rename that what we want. So we highlight it, Control Enter, and we're going to say, and now what we want to do is we want to copy that to the SD card. So it's still highlighted. So we're going to bring it down. We're going to put it to the SD card. You can see it's copying it down here. It's now complete. So if we now go to the SD card, we will see it. Backup of CB download files.zip. Double click it. And it opens up the zip to show me what's in it. And so we could take that same file, copy it to the USB drive, and also copy it out to the to my Google Drive and have it stored in the cloud as well. So we've got everything going in every direction, and it all seems to be working. The key to it was backing up what was on the SD card and reformatting the SD card, and I was able to then make it all work. So try that with your machine. Hopefully it works. Now, if it doesn't, I understand that your Chromebook is an older Chromebook. There may not be enough memory. Now, I've got 4 gigabytes of RAM in this. You may only have 2 gigabytes of RAM. There may not be enough room to do all of this. That may be another issue. But try what I'm showing you, and hopefully it will work for you. But in any case, everyone knows now how to move things from one place to another. Now, Ron and I were talking, and we're going to probably show you some more information on using some other devices like the Google's Backup and Sync software, the Google Takeout, and then download Google Drive, and then backup to OneDrive or you Dropbox, for instance, if you have a Dropbox account. So there's a lot of ways in which you can back up the data as well. So hope this solved your problem, Edith. Let us know. And thank you very much.